So today I want to talk about the law of reciprocity.
This is your first day in real estate, and I am your real estate sales trainer and coach, James Festini. And this is the program that's going to teach you how to sell more real estate in less time.
The law of reciprocity, I'll try to ad lib it and say it's when you provide a value to a client that they they feel compelled to use you for the business. And it's not out of guilt that when you give them something, you have an expectation that you should get it back. But that is the expectation. I mean, you give without an expectation, that's charity, right? Give with hope of a reward, that's commerce. What I'm getting at is the beauty of this business is that a consumer will choose their next listing agent. Well, I focus on listings. They will choose their listing agent or who they hire to sell their house based on one of two elements. These two elements are love and money, meaning that they have a bond, a special connection, an interaction. Someone refers it, someone they know from church. I mean, a nephew who just got their license. They could have a $4 million property, and they could turn around and hire them and not hire the number one agent in town who knows the neighbor, who sold every house in the neighbor. They will hire them, their nephew who just got their license, out of that. It's not necessarily reciprocity for that. It's a relationship, right? Love. There's a connection there that says, I know, like, trust might not need to be there, but they choose them. So the law of reciprocity is the same way, where you want to get the consumer to know, like, and trust you, and then ultimately choose you. How many times have we lost a listing appointment or presentation and they give it to somebody else because they know, like, and trust that person, but they chose that person? That's the big missing component in a lot of why we probably don't land the listing. If you're doing as much lead generation and follow up as I'm doing, it's inevitable that you're going to end up losing some. You're going to be a human postcard. You're going to have a lot of individuals in a database. If you are making 100 outbound contacts a day, you're going to end up with homeowners who say yes. And I never bring up, do you have another agent? Most people will volunteer that. But when you ask them for their name or their, sorry, not their name, their email address, permission to keep in touch, it's kind of this assumed beginning of a relationship where I'm going to provide value. The trick is to provide enough value to them that the law of reciprocity begins to kick in, meaning that how could they go with anyone else if they have that special bond with you? They get to know, like, and trust you. So I said earlier that the consumer will pick someone from love or money. Love being a special relationship, money being just somebody says it's worth more, right? If the home is worth, if it's $1 million house and an agent goes in there and says, no, you're crazy. Everyone's crazy. These other agents who are saying it's $1 million, they're crazy. I can do it for 1.2 million. Why wouldn't a homeowner say, well, if he's willing to do it for that, I agree. I do think where, especially if you have a homeowner who's, ambitious, I call it delusional, but ambitious is what you can say instead. When they have this idea that their home is going to sell very fast or that they're going to get so much and they're going to be in a multiple offers and bidding wars, it's very strange where these people get the impression that these are the things that happen. They make them up on their own. They maybe read a headline and it sticks based on their intention to sell, their motivation to sell. They think, okay, I'm going to be selling in the next couple of months, and the word is reticular activator. That's the mechanism that turns on in your brain where, let's say you buy, well, for example, a Tesla truck. I'm eyeballing that thing. But when you notice the Tesla truck, right? It starts showing up everywhere. If you're going to buy a Tesla or if you're going to buy a, Lexus, you never really noticed those before. And then suddenly you do. Like I used to own a Hummer H2. I never see them anymore. Really, I should have held on to that. But then you suddenly start seeing them everywhere. My Sprinter, my Sprinter van, I see them everywhere because that's turned on in your head. This is a familiarity, and that's what happens when a consumer begins to get to know you better. And based on your performance, they will choose you, but they will find some sort of value in that previous connection, whether that connection is love or money. Now, with money, you can always win with love. If they love you, I always say love is a stronger bond, right? Because you've seen so many agents out there get a listing that have no business trying to sell that $4 million property, right? Because you'll see they went out there with their iPhone. It's a vertical photo, and it could be, it's probably an iPhone 10, right, with the screen cracked, and half their thumb is in the picture, and they didn't even wipe the lens. But they get away with it. How? I don't know. I wish there was some loophole that agents could, secretly call homeowners and say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but your pictures look like crap. It's a $4 million house, and hang up. That's the worst part when you lose a listing to another agent, is that if you are really good at what you do, leveraging the law of reciprocity should not be this thing where you expect it. You almost have to assume it's yours because you are providing the value. Now, although you're not going to be able to get them all, I want to give you a few really powerful tools that you can use to get people to know, like, trust you, and ultimately choose you. First of all, it's going to be consistency. The first tool is going to be consistency. That when you make the cold call, let's just start with the majority of my business comes from thin air. Pick up the phone, I call, there they are. And I've already established there's like that first spark between where I call and I say, hi, my name is Agent with Company. I was calling to see if you had any interest in selling your house. And they say, well, no, not right. I think maybe later down the road you'd reconsider. Well, we were thinking about going to, you know what? It's not a big rush, but I'd love to send you out some information and keep you posted on the market. And if the numbers look good, maybe later we can talk. What's a good email? If they already have an agent or if they're not thinking about it, either one of those will tell you based on that response if you're good at your delivery. A lot of that delivery has to do with being, again, sincere, knowing that you are the best at what you do. And if you're not the best at what you do, why the hell aren't you? This job, it just, all it requires is that you have, knowledge and consideration, right? Knowledge of the market and consideration for what it is that their needs are. That makes a great agent. There's not much more. But the first step is going to be that consistency. Not only consistency, but follow through on a promise. So if we contact a homeowner and they say, I'd love to send you out some, I say, I'd love to send you out some information. Maybe later we can talk. And then they turn around and say, okay, great. They give me their email address. How long will it take for me to send something out? And what will I send out? Will I just send an email that 50-50 chance it goes to spam? I mean, it's just how life is, right? They might not even remember until afterwards. They might not be in that zone because remember, they might not be ready right now. They are looking for your information. I don't know, maybe because I get so much spam emails, so much that my inbox is, very difficult to control because it's just out of control. But maybe other civilians don't have to deal with it that much. So maybe they have less to deal with. But that when you say you're going to send it, how long will you take to send it? The consistency and the follow through is going to be that first impression, like showing up to an appointment on time, maybe even being there a little bit early when you pull up to the front door, right? The law of reciprocity. That's what this topic is about. The law of reciprocity is giving the consumer a perceived sense of value that you as an agent have above and beyond anyone else they're looking at. And it doesn't really take much to put them over the edge, to get them to realize this person is different. And the best way to be different and get that law of reciprocity working in your favor is to, uh, by example, right? Be caught doing things that most agents wouldn't do. For example, showing up early on time to the appointment, showing up a little bit early on time to the appointment, and then going out into the middle of the street, right? Take a quick photo and take some notes. What if they're sitting inside the house and, they happen to see you pull up and they're wondering, what are you doing in the car? Or maybe they're looking at the clock going, it's like 60 seconds to the appointment and the doorbell rings right on time, but they don't see you pull up until like 60 seconds and you're flying in there half baked. But you show up a little bit early and then you go outside, right? You pull up, you're across the street, you take a photo, you take a couple of notes, and then you walk in, catch it, and then ring that bell right on time. Right on time. That small little difference, as I'm saying, consistency, that there's this standard where you set the room temperature to 72, and it doesn't go above and it doesn't go below. And if it does, you're constantly adjusting the frequency that they're looking for to vibe, I guess we could say, to gel, to yeah, it's vibration, just like a frequency, is the radio station that we all have. We're all hosting our own channel, and it's called WIIFM. What's in it for me? Every homeowner has that tune. You know, when you're during the holidays and you pull up to one of those really cool Christmas light decorations, and then on the front it says tune into 88.3 FM, and then you tune your radio in, and then that's the house, and then the house is like singing with the music. You heard that one? Or like back in the I'm dating myself, but I'm old. The movie theaters, you know, when you tune into their frequencies, being able to lock into their frequency locks in that law of reciprocity, because the law of reciprocity, although physically can be manifested, can be shared and conveyed, the only way that it matters is if they reciprocate. And their reciprocation has to be by signing the contract, by giving you the listing. What are the differences that separate you from the competition? It is providing value. And the first step is going to be consistency. And the other part is commitment, follow through. When you say you're going to do it, that you're going to do it. So I feel like as if consistency and commitment and follow through are kind of in the same, where it's just based on what you say you're going to do and your behavior and how you put it out, that everything reflects professional, that when they receive the information, that it's not just an email. This is one of the other tools that I'm going to share with you. When I provide an email for a consumer, and I'm going to see if I can pull this off without totally screwing it up. When I provide a what I call it a dub slam. That's for lack of a better word. When somebody says, yes, as a matter of fact, I am interested in selling, and I say, great, I'd love to send you out some information. Maybe later we can talk. What's a good email? What I do then is, let me see if I can find one here somewhere. It's too risky to try it on the fly. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let me pull up one that I've received recently. Let me see if I can present screen. Can this do it right here? Does that do it? Okay. So when I pull up my information, when I say, okay, great, I'd love to send you out some information. Maybe later we can talk. They turn around and say, they give me their email address. What is it that I send them? Right? What information do I send them? Am I sending them just a an email that says, thank you very much for your time, let's keep in touch? Or am I sending them a next level video follow-up, so that they put a face to the name? Again, for someone to get to know, like, and trust you in this era, we have to start thinking like a social media platform. Although there are some people who are not. My other tool tip that I'll share with you is that your marketing pieces need to have more social media bedazzle not um, versus not having that information. Um, if it's just a letter with text versus sending them an email with this information, okay, what I'm doing is I'm putting together a full-blown listing presentation showing demonstrations of what the online market packet, with the online marketing, showing them their value, giving them a quick walkthrough of the information. And that I've mastered it with my software. And I mean, this is the learning curve is extreme. It's only because I'm obsessed with the technology that I can even like think of this. Back in the day, and before, who was that? Bomb Bomb and all of those, I was putting my picture and I was, sharing the screen of a CMA, but, having your face pop up and then the market analysis and be able to say, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. This is the next generation of that. I'm able to, with my technology. And again, if you guys ever want to learn this stuff, just hire me as your one-on-one coach. And you could probably spend the whole time just mastering this. The technology is there. You never want to have to learn it, but you have to want to learn it. If there was a way to do this and I went out to set out for it and I didn't really want to figure it out, I would have never bothered because, geez, that's BS, man. That's just too much work. But I really wanted to create a first impression that no one can touch. The and that The delivery method is through Dub. They're a sponsor of the show, but the delivery method is with Dub, and I'm able to send it in a text. Which again, when I'm on the phone with the homeowner, I'll say, okay, great. Hey, by the way, is this your cell phone number? I'll send it out to you through text also if it's all right. Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, I'll send him an email. That'll have that. Dub will have the ability to, I open up my phone, I got the Dub software, and I send it through a text. Boom, all of a sudden within 60, 90 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever, they have a full blown video presentation with the picture of their house and how the hell did you get the cars out of the driveway? When did you take that picture? People don't register that, right? But you have software out there that's out. I got, lots of different AI sites that you just upload the photo and say, remove those cars and it's done. Or you might have to do a little more. But what I'm getting at is with the law of reciprocity, to deliver your goods in a way that no one else does, they feel bonded and connected to you like no other because there's no competition, right? If they have several agents that they're thinking about, what are the chances that they've met those agents? I mean, good chance, but maybe not. The one who leaves the postcards on their doorstep, they might know them or they might see the signs, or maybe they've once walked in an open house, but it was a quick flash, but it was nothing compared to what you have just put in front of them. If they can appreciate it, I don't know. Sometimes I've never had maybe I've had one or two homeowners who are like, wow, that was impressive. But maybe the consumers now think that this is some sort of minimum standard that real estate agents should be able to bang out like a full production little mini movie for them, but it's not. However, that is the difference between the lesser agent and the better agent who's going to get the job, who's going to get the contract. The winning agent is always one that they know, like, and trust. Well, maybe one of those don't. They might not like them, but they know and trust them, right? I mean, you've seen some of the agents that get hired. It's like nobody likes them, right? But they get a job done. The know, like, and trust factor is nothing if they don't choose you. You could be one of several agents that they know, like, and trust. How do you get chosen? That's with the law of reciprocity, that you provide so much mind-blowing value to the consumer that they don't have a choice. They're like, this is obvious, right? When you go to, let's say you're on the phone and you have a homeowner who says, yeah, as a matter of fact, I am, but we've already lined up 3 agents. We've interviewed a few and we're going to make our decision or whatever. But they're right there, right? They're right there. You're on the phone and hopefully you're making your calls within a sphere of interest, not intense interest. You better not mess around. But that's why I don't go too far geographically with my phone calls, because that backfires when you find someone who says, yes, as a matter of fact, I am, or gets that close. Your motivation diminishes based on the distance, because if you're talking to someone and say, yeah, as a matter of fact, we are thinking about it. We have spoken to a few agents, but it's not for, until next week or two, right? We're still fixing some stuff up. But you get the impression that they haven't signed a contract. If you feel like so have you guys signed a contract? When will it be on the market? How much are you going out for? Oh, no, we haven't decided that yet. We're still fixing up, right? They're there. I, and many who watch what I do and do what I do because they watch it works, you have to know that you're sitting here in this box looking for someone like that. And when someone like that pops up, you don't dismiss it. You have to stop everything you're doing and put together a full-blown, what I call a slam package, what do you call it? A listing presentation package or a pre-listing presentation package, a package. I call it a slam package. And it's a full-blown everything, 30 pages bound with a laminate. I mean, if you saw, I wish I had an example here. I should have my examples handy so I can share. If you took a look at what I gave to the consumer, to the sellers, What I do is if they're that close, they've already interviewed, or maybe something's right. Something is so urgent that I stop the dialer, stop door knocking, right? Get in your car, put together the information, get up, stop everything, put together a piece of literature, documents, preferably, well bound, well made, well thought out with information. I mean, it's just a thorough package, and then showing up there within 30 minutes of the phone call is critical. Again, that's why I don't want to go geographically too far, because I will stumble into someone who's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I mean, I can think of like a zip code that's a little too far, like almost to Disneyland-ish, maybe even farther, where I'm like, if I get someone like that, will I jump up and do it? Yeah, probably. But in my sphere of intense interest, in my city, oh hell, you ain't gonna, no way, I won't. I will have to, because I have to implement the law of reciprocity, but not through selfishness, but an assumption that if I provide the value, then it should work out the way it is. So I will stop everything I'm doing. I will put together a full blown slam package, and I will go knock on their door and I'll say, hey, Mr. Homeowner, sorry to bother you. I just got off the phone with you. My name is James. I know that you're very close and I want to give you this information. I just put it together for you. If anything changes or if there's any, I'd love to get together with you. Half the time, I don't even want to put a number to what happens each time. More often than not, they'll grab the package and they'll start flipping through it. While you're standing there, they'll start reading it. But you, just as when we door knock, we have to relay these unspoken body signals, body language that says, I'm leaving now, I'm not attached to the outcome, so that it allows them to put their guard down. Because if you're in their face and you stick a package in their hand, now you're like, I want to come in, it's going to backfire. But if you say, hey, I want to drop off this information, and you give this sense, this energy that I'm leaving now, thank you, please consider it. So many times they'll start flipping through the pages. They'll go, where's your office right now? When they ask you a question, the interview has begun. What's your commission? The interview has begun. How long are you listing on? What do you think my house is? Have you sold? Like any question that they ask, the interview has begun. You better have that's why you see me. If I don't have an appointment today, I'm still in a suit, because I don't mess around. I'm not showing up in casual clothes. I sleep in these clothes because I want to make sure that at no point can I be caught off guard when they see me, that first impression. The law of reciprocity is many facets which will establish that personal connection that will get them to love me or create a bond. Again, love or money are the only two reasons why people choose someone. You can be known, liked, and trusted, but if they don't know you, it's over. If they don't like you, then, you've got your work cut out for you. If they don't trust you, then they probably won't go in there. But if they know, like, and trust you, what's it going to do to separate that? How are you going to cross that barrier from know, like, and trust to be chosen? Providing that kind of value. So when you have that first point of contact with someone who is going to make a move, you don't have a choice but to give everything you've got. That's why I say within an email, I will put together that video dub slam that I showed you. But that's, if it's late at night or if it's early in the day, or if it's not right now, but maybe later, but I sense that it's going to be soon, then I wouldn't stand up and rush over there. However, if it is fairly soon, I will still print out that package. I will present it to them on my online, that dub slam that I call the video slam package, where they will see the contents of that physical slam package, but in video form. But then the very next day, or sometimes the same day, I'll get it to their doorstep. Now, depending on where and when they're at, like if they are not right away, then I won't drop it off right away, right? I could put it in the mail and send it overnight. But the physical, the tangible, you want to have this perceived sense of value. And in a world where everything is disposable and most don't care about recycling, right? They just don't care. To provide someone value of something that they can hold, or that they can possess, and say that there's a real substance here, that this person dropped off that package. When you follow up with them a week later or 2 days later, depending on their motivation, you can say, "Hi, this is Agent with Company. I'm the guy who you met at the door." Oh yeah, boom. Now they know me. We can tell right away if they like you because there's going to be that dialogue, right? There'll be that thing that happens at the door, whether they do or not, and you can sense that. That's been going on since since we're monkeys back in the 3.2 million years ago. That we can sense that connection, friend or foe, within a fraction of a second. And if you're good at that, if you're good at your appearance is there, and you're always suited up, then they like you. How do they build trust? Well, you provide information. The information lines up with what they're thinking. People like to do business with people that they like. And if you're tuned into that same frequency, that WIIFM, what's in it for me, then there's this immediate bond, right? I like what you're doing. That's a great job. Man, I'm impressed with your work. If you hear those words, the only thing left to do now is not F it up. Maintain a level of communication. By the way, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, right? You follow up with them 2 or 3 days. By the way, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, the information I gave you was so that you could make, an educated decision. But I got to ask, ideally, is my script. Here's another tool. I told you I was going to give you tools today. Ideally, when do you want to see a moving truck in your driveway? So that's different from when do you want to move? When would you like to move? When are you moving? When you say, ideally, when do you want to see a moving truck in the driveway? That becomes tangible. That's something that they can feel. That's a gut punch where you're like, man, I hate the thought of a moving truck. Oh, but it becomes this raw response. It's not, when do you want to sell? Because when they want to put their home on the market could be July, but they might not want to move until August. And if the days on market is 60 days and they're saying July, you can get better answers out of that. Say, okay, so you want to be out by August 1st? Okay, great. Well, as you know, the average days on the market is like 45 to 60. Who knows how long? You know what? I don't want to, and I always do this because homeowners don't like being pressured. People don't like feeling, they don't like, what are these? I'm trying to use these platitudes, these sayings. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Kind of along that lines. People don't want to be sold. They don't want to be closed on, but they are more than willing to be led to the right conclusion, right? And that's what we do. We are leaders. Who I call a Sherpa, right? The Sherpa is the guy who, if you want to go climb Mount Everest, for example, there are individuals who live in the base of the mountain, and you can hire them to get you up the mountain. You don't do it alone. It's just, I'm sure there's people who've done it, but they're crazy because there are people who can guide you through that. We are real estate Sherpas. And when they trust you, right? You have to trust your Sherpa when you hire them at the base of Mount Everest. There's got to be somewhere, somehow, where someone goes, "Hey, man, that guy, he's lost like 3 people. 3 people died like last season." You're like, "Nah, I don't think I want to be with him." You don't want to work with someone who doesn't have a reputation or at least the confidence in getting you to the top. If you don't have the stripes, if you don't have the experience in your business to prove, then you still got to carry yourself with confidence because, as you may or may not have noticed, most real estate agents pretty much suck. I hate it. That's why I can talk smack about Peruvians because I'm Peruvian. I can also talk smack about real estate agents. Most of them suck. But it's only because they don't have to take it seriously, or maybe they were misled into how this business works. When at the end of the day, it's about providing a value. That's what the law of reciprocity is providing a value during the course of this courtship, right? Be interesting and interested. That when you speak to them, the conversations are two ways and they get to feel better about it, right? You don't walk in like Sheldon the Machine Levine and start grabbing their fishing pole and grabbing the teddy bear and start laughing it up. That's phony. But if you are yourself and you can relay this interest in their best interest, right? You show interest in their best interest. You show interest in their best interest. That law of reciprocity comes automatically because they can sense that they can trust you. And I think trust has to be one of the biggest things. It's everything, right? Trust becomes one where they are comfortable enough to choose you over anyone else. Now, if it's about the money, then you can beat that. You just say, hey, whatever price you want it at, let's go for it. I'm not afraid to try that price, but I'm also as a script. House is worth 700. They want to do it for 750. Okay, Mr. Miss Homer. It's ambitious, right? I'd say you're crazy. It's ambitious, but you know what? Who am I to say? If you trust that what I can do can get out there, and you of all people know how nice your house is, I'm sold on it. Let's go out at 650 or 750. I'm not afraid to try, but just know I'm also not afraid to admit I was wrong if things don't happen the way it is. Fair enough. And like, okay, sure. And then we put out there. Some people might put in writing, hey, if we don't get it, by a certain amount of time. But you lay the groundwork for. But when they have trust, they will give you the contract. And as you continue to uh, demonstrate that you are on their side, that they will have that trust in you, they will not second guess when you are providing them updates on the marketplace, which is what you're supposed to do. And then at some point, your homeowner's gonna call you and say, hey, man, we've been on the market for like 2 or 3 weeks and we've been seeing some places we like. What do you suggest? I say, you know what? I don't want to bring it up this early, but when we first started, we should have been out at 7, and 750 was ambitious. Maybe we can bring it down to 725. Let's see for another 2 weeks there. And like, okay, perfect. Not a problem. And then you get that price reduction. Maybe it's 725 it sells. Maybe it shouldn't be 7. Or maybe it's supposed to be 675. But you never want to be not chosen because of the same thing on the opposite side. What am I getting at? If they think in their head it's worth 700 or 750, and all of the comps say 650 to 675, the minute they sense that you are not 100% committed in their best interest, whether it's ambitious or delusional, if you don't agree with what they say, if you put up any resistance in this market, there are 10 agents right behind you who will gladly take it. And how many times have we lost a listing by saying, you're crazy, 750, never going to happen, and you walk away? And then it goes into escrow with another agent. And then it closes. And then it closes 725. But that's not your problem. Well, yeah, it is your problem now because they got the contract. They went through the process. And once it was on the market, the sellers were negotiable, but they weren't willing to leave the money on the table on our first conversation. They needed to feel it out. They needed to know what was out there. And as we enter into a marketplace where things may take longer to sell, that might be the case. Most homeowners still believe that their home is going to sell for top dollar right away. And in my case, mine still sell for top dollar right away, but there's no promises. Only a guarantee that I'll do everything I can. With the law of reciprocity, if I can engage their emotion, if I can tap into that part of their inner sense of value by being myself, but being the best agent I can be, delivering on my promise that from the very beginning, when I say, let's keep in touch, maybe later we can talk. Again, another tool is I send letters, old fashioned, old time, remember stamps and envelope. It might cost 90 cents or so. But if they're that motivated, when they receive a piece of mail, I mean, how many people, I don't know, maybe is your mailbox? I'd be curious to find out if other people's mailboxes have cobwebs. Mine doesn't have mail. It's like one or two random pieces and that's it. Post office is really in a weird place. I just drop it off like random things. It's nothing. Everything's gone online. But so long as for 90 cents, I can have another human drop this off in their mailbox. And when they open it up, here's a nice letter, but it's not just a letter, right? That's why I use Mojo, by the way. Mojo does letters. They do printing of letters so that when I get someone that's ridiculously hot, I click one button and it lays out a plan of action over the next, whatever amount of time, that when I go into Mojo tomorrow morning, it's going to say, hey, by the way, you got a letter to print. I hit print, do the envelope, stick the stamp, fold it up, stick the stamp, put it in my mail, and it's gone. But then in 3 days after, I can call the homeowner and say, hey, just by the way, I sent out my card. Just want to make sure you got my information. Yeah, okay, great. Let's keep in touch. But even my letter isn't just a letter. I've taken the time to craft my letter, which Mojo has their letters now and their action plans with AI built in, which I don't want to go into that rabbit hole, but it's good. When you create a consistency, that was my first tip I gave you for the law of reciprocity, was the consistency, that you put something automated, not that you're completely out of touch, but that they'll receive your newsletter every Friday, that they'll receive your Home IQ or HomeBot or Core Factor, or whatever CMA software you've plugged them into every whatever they do, right? And with KV Core, you have the marketplace updates, that there's this frequency that's automated, but that when they get the letter, you want to make that 90-cent stretch, you call them back, schedule your calendar for 3 days after that hits print because you know you're committed to it. And you say, hey, I sent out my information. Great, let's keep in touch. My letter isn't just a letter. I've gone online and I've stolen, copied, whatever, cut and paste real estate cartoons. There's hundreds, thousands of real estate, little one cartoons, not like a strip, just one little. But on my letter, it's not just words. There's a good sized cartoon of real estate, right? A real estate funny. It's like a comic book strip. And for me, I feel as if that's like the secret toy surprise in the Cracker Jack box. It's like buying the bubble gum cards, the baseball cards just for the gum. It's like this special treat that gives these people just a little something that if they open it and see the letter, it probably makes it to the right. But if they open it and see this colorful cartoon, then it stops to catch their attention. The letters are well written and the information, hey, I call them 2 or 3 days later, right? And I know they just got the letter, so they probably read it. So I send out the letter. I know it takes 48, 72 hours. I call them on the fourth day and I say, hey, I sent out my letter. Did you get it? Well, I don't know. Yeah, it had a little cartoon on it, right? Oh, yeah, yeah, that was you. Okay, yeah, great. Let's keep in touch. But these little seeds that you water give you the right to assume that you've got it. But as long as you maintain a respectful degree of follow up, when you ask them, when do you plan on doing it? Ideally, when do you want to see a moving truck? And if they say in 6 months from now, ask for permission. Say, would it be all right if I gave you a call every month or two to find out if anything's changed? If you've already done these things, they say no problem. But when I say a month or two, it's more like 3 weeks to a month. And then next time, hey, would it be a call if I gave you a call in a month or so, see where you're at? Sure, no problem. No one's really going to say, no, I'll call you. When you have people who say, no, I'll call you, they're resisting. They're not getting the warm fuzzies. They're people who are open, they know, like, and trust you, and they're motivated. They're not going to say, no, don't call me, I'll call you. I don't even want to deal with people like that. I'm so, I don't want to say blessed, fortunate that I land contracts and listings with people who are wonderful people. I often imagine a scenario where all of my sellers, right, all of the homeowners that I've helped sell their home, if I had put on a big event that they could all go into a ballroom and they would all get along because they're all the same people. I wish there was a way I could target the certain demographic of people who, for some reason, I land up with those same people all the time. And my wife, Nicole, all the time, she goes, you get the nicest people. I go, I know, it's because I don't follow up with jerks. If they're jerks, let them go. It's not worth it. So I wanted to thank you guys for watching. And if you guys need one-on-one coaching, if you want to learn those CMA, that dub slam, by all means, find me, jamesfestini.com/training. All of these videos, by the way, are on YouTube, but you have to subscribe to that membership thing. And then there they are. I try to organize them as best I can. I'm making an effort to put them back out there, but a little cutting and editing. Sometimes they don't flow the way I want them to. It's just, I don't know. My messages are long because I have so much to say about it. But at the end of the day, when I have so much invested in this business, I feel like I have something to say about it. And I don't want to leave anything out when it comes to sharing. And that's part of the problem with my one-on-one is you hire me, we're together for 1 hour a week on face-to-face, FaceTime. But it's never really an hour. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I always feel bad saying, hey, man, your hour's up. You want to keep going? Because there's so much to learn. But it really comes down to lead generation and follow-up. The follow-up has to be a higher degree of quality so that when the homeowner knows you, they learn to like and trust you, that they choose you. That is the law of reciprocity. And if you're doing it right and you're doing it consistent, and you're providing value, both tangible and unseen, that's going to be a no-brainer. How I lose anybody is beyond me because I do what I do. But then you're always going to have these people who, out of nowhere, they list with someone else. But I'm not worried about that. Those aren't my people. Those aren't the kind of people I want to work with. Someone who's like that, what else are they doing? You know what I mean? We get lucky more often by playing the game more often. And real estate is a numbers game. So again, one-on-one coaching, you just find me, jamesfestini.com. And let me see if I can pull this off the right way. Get back to work. This episode is brought to you by Mojo Selling Solutions. If you're serious about boosting your prospecting power, Mojo is the #1 CRM with a dialing software, crushing your cold calling efforts and significantly increasing your contact rate. Beyond just the speed, Mojo offers an integrated CRM system that is specifically designed for real estate. This episode is also brought to you by Dub, the video communication platform that's revolutionary in how I connect with the potential customer. Just that, with personalized video messages that you can send through email, text, social medias, and more. Dub offers real-time tracking and analytics, so you know exactly who's engaging with your videos. Then, of course, we're brought to you by Cole Realty Resource. Cole provides high-quality, targeted homeowner contact information. And let's not forget ZenTap, the all-in-one marketing solution designed to simplify your online presence. They're not just a website, so they automate the creation and posting of branded content all across your major platforms. Now, have you read my book, Dynamic Door Knocking? It can help you master this powerful prospecting technique. Find it on Amazon and on Audible. For those of you who are truly committed to growth and are ready to put in the hard work, I'm also offering limited spots for one-on-one coaching. Finally, if you're an ambitious agent looking for a dynamic brokerage with incredible opportunities, I invite you to consider joining my team at eXp Realty. There is a difference with who you go under. You can find direct links in the show notes or the description below this episode. Don't forget to join every Friday at noon Pacific live on YouTube for the Festini Nooner. Now get back to work.